Soundstripe.
Welcome to South End Supporters, a St. Louis City SC podcast powered by Ready to Live Wellness and coming at you from the Warrior Logo Wear Studio. David Heck alongside Eric Cole, Monday morning center back out this week, Eric. So it's like the old days, brother, just you and I.
I'll say this is bringing it back. Bring it back for all the old listeners. This is where it all started from.
This is where it all started. I don't know if it'll be any good. You're going to have to just completely carry this show today, Eric. You've got no Monday morning center back to fall back on here. It's a lot of you. It's a lot of you because people don't listen to me for soccer news, Eric. We know that.
But you know it's going to be a great show when both of us going into it have the same mindset of, boy, I hope the other one carries the show.
I can't carry it. I've said this before. I can't carry it. I'll talk. I'll set you up for things. That's how I run the show, Eric. But I can't carry the show, right? You did an episode by yourself one time. I cannot do an episode by myself because I don't really know what's going on out there. To me, it's 22 guys running around, passing the ball and trying to make things happen. You and Dave see the tactics, you see the formation, you see all the things that's going on, the game inside the game, so to speak, Eric. I don't have that eye. And so that is what is great having you be able today to really shine. This is your chance, I think, Eric. A lot of people out there listening, man, this is it for you. Like, don't let them down.
I'll tell you what would be, honestly, I think a fan favorite and all of our favorites is if you did just run a solo episode. Like a 30-minute like stand-up session for you. Like I would just challenge it. The way I'd get you psyched for it is I would just challenge you as if it was a best man speech because you've been known to put down some very solid best man speeches. So I would just be like, go out there and give him a best man speech on what the weekend was. And I bet it would be amazingly entertaining for sure.
Eric, I've been known to give best man speeches when I'm not even the best man in weddings.
This is true. This
is
true. You did at my wedding.
I did.
Although I think it was kind of like you weren't asked, but we were all still kind of like, you want,
the people wanted
this,
it.
And you were just like, you were like, I'm game.
What they don't want is me talking about soccer for 60 minutes, and so that is why we decided to do this podcast together, because we can take both skill sets and marry them together, and then of course added Dave in later, who has done a fantastic job. I think this is the first time you and I have done a show together since before Dave was like officially a part of the show. I know early on he was doing some traveling, but he wasn't like on it full time. I feel like since he's been on it full time, you and I have not done one, just the two of us.
Yeah, once he went from the guy who called in, literally the guy who called in, to like, hey, just start coming every week.
Right.
I don't know.
Part of it.
But I do kind of miss the airport calls and
I do
where
too.
else was he Was he driving one time, or I think he was driving, or he's definitely in his car.
The airport one was brutal. It was like it was get some better earbuds or something. I don't know.
Man. All you'd hear was like Terminal 6 now boarding down the lane. I was like,
right,
you go somewhere else, man. You're right next to the speaker.
Constantly pressing the mute button, and it was not great. But no, he's added obviously a lot to it and brings in an entertainment value as well. What wasn't necessarily entertaining to me, Eric, and again, maybe the hardcore soccer fan would view this differently, was the 0-0 draw, which I feel like we've talked about a lot over the past year or so, that took place at City Park on Saturday against Vancouver. Good thing you walk out of there against the top team in the league with a point. Would have liked to have seen some goals. Overall thoughts on the performance from City on Saturday night?
Unfortunately, it's the same kind of thoughts as I had last week against Columbus, where I saw improvements. So you feel like you want to try and look for the positives in it. I did see some improvements, just especially with such a dangerous team coming in. We highlighted Brian White and just the wingers that they had at their disposal, and we highlighted that we really need to shut them down. If we feel like we do, we can really kind of subdue their offense. And I felt like we did a really good job of that on the night. I mean, rewatching it back, there was only a handful of times you even heard his name, and it was more so you're hearing his name because they were highlighting the fact that he hasn't been involved in the game as much. So that was, you look at the positives there, but similar to Columbus, I just felt like, man, like I felt like we left almost like points on the table. You feel great getting points. When we highlighted earlier um, in the month, we were like, this is a tough, tough month. And if we get, a point here or a point there, we're happy. So you look at this game at the end of the day, you're happy coming out with something, a point. I guess my frustrations just more was the whole time watching, especially in that second half. The Monday morning center back actually and family came down and sat on the south end in section 149 with us since there were quite a few open seats. I think a lot of people anticipating the rain and all that type of stuff. There were some spots quite a bit throughout the stadium, but we were kind of saying it throughout. We just felt in that second half the game was there for the taking, and we just kind of kept waiting for like another substitution to go for it. One of the big ones that I was kind of noticing was like, man, I felt like Ostrak could have came in for
Mm.
Morales and really switched that mindset in the middle of just let's contain the ball to let's go for it. And I felt like at home, especially, it was like, man, the game's there. Like it didn't feel like we were being bombarded by Vancouver and we're like, just happy to be surviving. It felt like whether you find it entertaining or not, just a back and forth without a whole lot of chances going on to where I felt like, man, like let's put in that attacking option and kind of go for it. And so I just kind of felt like Olaf still played it a little bit too, um, careful. And I'm just thinking, at what point do we decide, like, hey, now you can't play it careful anymore? At what point does Olaf kind of feel so much pressure that he's like, I'm just rolling out all attacking and just going for it. Not that he shored up like we've seen in the past and parked the bus or did anything like that. I just felt like there were some options that were there that we could have switched around and maybe looked like we were going for a little bit more.
Had a goal. You had a goal. Hartle scored, right? Got called
Oh
back
man, it was
due to the
yeah.
offside. That place had to erupt at that point.
It felt good because you felt almost pretty positive. I think the first like 6 minutes were a little shaky, and then we kind of settled into the game. And then you really felt like, hey, we're kind of getting them on the back foot and we're kind of moving the ball pretty well at this point. And so just the buildup of the whole play was just beautiful.
Yeah, it
You had
was.
Morales with this cross field pass straight to Celio that was great, ends up getting deflected out. Wallem puts in a great pass. And then from our angle, especially on the south end, we were just shocked at how open Hartle was at the
I,
back post.
I
We were like,
know.
he's got to do something with it. And then I was almost like worried just because, like when you're at the opposite end, you don't realize how much space they have or maybe how little space
We
they
have,
have.
you have
So
no depth perception on that end
exactly.
at all.
Exactly. So I'm thinking like, oh man, I couldn't believe he didn't hit it first time off the volley. Like that just maybe watching European soccer has just got me so accustomed to like a ball like that's getting hit first time on the volley. So he brings it down and then I'm thinking, oh, he still has time. And to see him slot it, it's almost funny. Like I couldn't even tell if it was the Shake Your Tail Feather song or what song was playing at that point. It's been so long since I feel like we've really
Yeah.
heard the song throughout. And yeah, that place erupts. And then the thing is you don't see a flag initially. You don't see anything that like so everybody that vibe is high, and we're all still kind of like high five and celebrating, like just and then all of a sudden it kind of sets in like, hey, why haven't we kicked off yet? What's going on? And then once you see a captain talking to the ref, it's like, and and in
No,
my mind
nothing
from
good's going to come out of that.
no, oh no, and in my mind from that angle again, I'm thinking it's a foul somewhere off the ball. I'm not even thinking offsides because everything to me looks so far shifted. You see Vancouver in a back's place that I wasn't even thinking anything about it. But yeah, to see once you see him run over, you just know like the chances of him coming back and saying like, nope, everything's cool is just not happening. At least this time we heard because I remember one of the few times it seems like they start talking before the mic's fully on. This time they
Yeah.
waited the full time. We didn't get one of those stupid howevers that we've seen in the
That guy did it
past. Like
again, by the way. I don't
I
know if you saw
saw that.
that in a different game.
I saw that. And like I'm over that. Like don't be a part of the
I
game. Just
think he
like
likes it. I think he. What's
oh,
that guy's
you
name?
can
Do you know the referee's name?
no, I don't, but like I'm surprised I don't because it has happened a couple times. But yeah, you could tell when he walks out that little like side smirk that he's got
Yeah,
going,
he's
like
it's
he's gonna
kind of a
enjoy this a
punchable,
little
kind of
bit
a
too much.
punchable face a little
Yeah.
bit. I think.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so yeah, once he said six, I was like, okay, to me, I can't see that angle while I'm completely across the field and on the opposite side. it's got to be an infraction called off. And man, you just felt the air go from such a high to a like I don't know if it's just because we've been struggling so hard to get them this year that rather than that kind of like rallying cry after a goal called back, you feel this like, well, there goes our goal for the game. Like it's just
Yeah.
kind of like
Well,
there it was.
my father-in-law, Rick Worthen, co-host of Rick's Rants,
I was gonna say,
he,
what was a Rick rant?
oh my God, he threw the remote. He hit Donna. He hit my mother-in-law. He then said, "I'm not watching this. You insert expletive here.
Yeah,
League
yeah.
anymore." He was furious. Furious. Eric doesn't want to watch the league anymore because of this call. And it's continued. I think the frustration is just mounting. But he is a man of principle, and I would not be surprised if he took a little break. He's very
Mm,
fired up, very upset about this. My question is: so Skilios cross gets blocked, right?
mm-hmm.
The ball then comes out to, was it Wallum that was left offside? Yeah.
Wallem was the one who
So
got
the
called
ball
for the
comes,
offside. Yeah.
the ball, right, but he's not, initially involved in the play. So I'm curious, right? I want to get just rule clarification on this because to me, like, I understand if Celio's crossing the ball into Hartle, and I'm not sure exactly where this ball was intended to go, but probably in the box in some capacity there, right? Let's say it gets through and Hartle's offside, and then he puts it in, and then it's like, okay, we understand. It's offside. It sucks. It's the way it goes. It is what it is. But this ball's not intended for Wallem. Wallem in almost every facet of the play is completely removed from it at this point. He's not, obviously he's not behind Celio at the point, unfortunately, but he's very close to being even with him. And when the ball's played in and then obviously deflected out to Wallem, now you've got him crossing it into Hartle, and then the offside call comes in. So, question here, right? Like, I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm curious for clarification purposes because what I don't understand about the rule is how can you have someone like a Rick Worthen, my father-in-law, who played soccer his entire life, coached soccer. Rick coached alongside Dale Schilly for a number of years, who is in the booth on Y98 with Joey. And he knows the game, it seems like, pretty well. And, my wife, who grew up playing soccer, played it in college, she was also confused by the whole thing. I don't get it. And so I'm curious, right? Like, how is it that this rule is still hard for people to understand? Is there no like black and white? Is there some sort of a gray area here? Or is it just no matter where the ball is going, if it is played and you are offside, even though you're not the intended target for it, it's just the way it is?
Hoping there's a lot of discussion actually going on right now with the offsides rule, and they're trying to get it more narrowed down and clarified because you watch some games and it's like his left pinky's offsides, and it's like,
Right.
but that's not a playable ball. And then they're trying to shift that away to where they're trying to make it a little bit more clear. This was actually a little bit of a learning um, time for me as well because I understand like so if it bounces off a player, I'll read you. They actually put out a little bit of a definition today, and so the defender in question made an instinctive stretch or reach for the ball, which resulted in a limited control of the ball. While this was a deliberate action by the defender, by law, this is considered a deflection and not a deliberate play. The VAR was correct to recommend a review for offsides in the attacking phase of play. The referee was correct to accept the recommendation and disallow the goal. So, where I was learning experience for me was I thought when it hits off the defender, that is when you look and see where the line is across. Learning to me, it was still because I guess they're saying it wasn't a deliberate action that when it was played by Celio is when you look for the line of now there Wallem is off. What I don't understand though is that to me is not a deflection is if you're unaware of the ball hitting you. That to me is a rule by deflection. If you're reaching out your leg to block a pass or I understand you don't necessarily retain possession, which is what they're looking for to decipher, that
Sure.
the
Which he
defending
didn't.
team.
He didn't do. He didn't. have
Right,
possession.
correct. But that stretch of the leg was a deliberate play for the ball.
He's
Now, there's
trying to
many.
block it.
Yes. And so there's that be like saying, you know, a player miscontrolled the ball just from a bad touch. That's technically not a play on the ball in their mind, but technically it is. It was just a bad touch. I'm not saying this was a bad touch on his part, but if you are reaching out with your leg in attempts to block a shot and you just don't retain possession, to me, that is a deliberate play on the ball. He
Yeah.
reaches out with his leg to deliberately, block, hopefully control, maybe shift to a different player. That is a deliberate play on the ball. I understand it just happens to be lucky for us and bounces to Wallem, but I still feel like where you should be looking as far as the offsides line is once he makes the play on the ball. That's where you should look at the line and see, okay, technically that was last touched. Where is everybody on the line? Wallen's back on side at this point. At the end of the day, what are you going to do? It feels like the offsides rule or the offsides this year has become our new handball. It just seems to be popping up every week. And there's still like questions from a lot of people on what is technically offsides. Now we're starting to get a little bit more of the definitions. And like I said, I'm even learning some stuff, but it's just still frustrating. There's been quite a few offsides on this team a little bit, and if I'm Olaf, the next thing I'm stressing in training is if you're high up on the field, the first thing you should be doing is looking to almost sprint back and get yourself back on sides. I know Klaus, I think Hartle and Teutschert have been guilty of it a couple of times where they've just kind of slowly strolled back up. All of a sudden, we retain possession, but they're offsides. So it's frustrating. I guess if you're going to break down the rule so small, you can understand, I guess, that it is the correct call. But to me, I still don't feel that by rule should be correct because if you're outstretching, you're not unaware of the ball making contact with you. That's a deliberate play on the ball. Wallem should have been offsides from there. Goal should have stood.
Yeah, that's the key, right? The key point there is, was it a deliberate movement by the defender? And if it was, then you're saying by law the goal should have stood.
Because also you could look at the handball rule. How many times would you say that's a deliberate play on the ball when it hits contact with the ball hand down by
I
the what? You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation, right? A whole nother debate. And it does seem like at this point nothing is going City's way. It's just one of
Yeah.
the things, right? Like, and you felt that way last year, to your point, with the handballs, and now, this year you're seeing it does seem like every week. I mean, you had Klaus's the week before, right, where there was an
Right.
offside that was called and didn't even get reviewed. So it continues to sort of pop up and rear its ugly head. And this goes back to Dave's point about having the line or the technology to be able to look at it, and they really don't have a good angle. You happen to have, and this is the unfortunate thing about this, the perfect angle to see Wallem on this one, right? Like last
Right.
week's,
No kidding.
I mean, it was a perfect angle. Last week's with Klaus, they couldn't even review it. There was no good angle. Like, it was bad, right? So this one happened to be right down the line, perfectly in position to be able to catch it. Otherwise, I don't see how it would have gotten overturned. This just, again, happens to be the luck of the draw where, unfortunately, there was a camera in this situation and there wasn't in Klaus's the week before.
It was interesting. After the last week's episode, No Goal Patrol actually sent us a message, kind of letting us know, that it was voted upon league wide. I guess there's like tier options to the VAR system, and I don't know what tier the MLS technically falls upon, but the MLS owners voted to be at this tier, and to be at the tier that you're seeing the lines and the camera angles and all that type of stuff that you're seeing overseas. It's like $2 million per team. And so
Uh,
then the question becomes, does the possibility of a few calls here or there, is that worth 2 million per team? So curious to get your thought on that. But to me, it's a little different because you're not dealing with a pro relegation system. You're not, but you think about, you know, that's two games back to back that could be we could be looking at 4 points as compared to one. And
that's a good point.
you think about what was it, the 6 through 9 spot last year was all separated by a point. I mean, that's playoffs. And then also you think about it, that could be a draw with one of the best teams in the East, and then a win against the best team in the West. You're talking about getting fans excited more. You're talking about getting people back in the stadiums that maybe are a little reluctant right now. I mean, I think in the long run, you make that money up by having correct calls on the field.
Yeah.
I think obviously it's easy for me to say because it's not my $2 million, but I think if you're the league and you're looking to take yourself seriously, and what you're already asking for startups for new leagues, new teams to come in, what was it? San Diego was like a $2 billion
Yeah.
down payment just to start in. $2 billion, 2 million. That's a big, that's like a drop in the bucket when you're looking at the team. Again, it's easy for me to spend their money, but I'm thinking if you want to be taken seriously and you're starting to get some of the best players in the world coming over here, I think you look at that as a worthy investment.
Well, we have the Josh Sargent NIL fund that's been started, Eric, and
It
perhaps
has
we
been.
can allocate some of those funds to this $2 million league wide. Unfortunately, we would need, I guess that's per team, so we would need the rest of the podcasts from other clubs to also participate in this in order to get it pushed through. Now, I would say to your point, like if you want to be a top tier league, you would need to have the top tier technology just by definition there. I'm indifferent on it. I would say the technology, and I don't watch as much European soccer as you. I would say if the technology can come in and make things happen more in real time instead of having to take the time to go and look at it, then that would be better. So, is that the way that it would work theoretically, where you would have the line and then somebody could be in the ref's ear and say, no, he was clearly off, and then they don't have to go and take the time out to look at it? Would it keep the game going at a better pace?
No, not that's the whole point of them allowing play to continue, even though it is an offsides, is for that reason. They don't
Yeah.
want to stop play and then, calling offsides, it be wrong, and then them being like, I was on a breakaway and you're stopping play. So
Right.
that's why they always like let it go. Even though there's some times where I'm thinking like I've seen it before where I think it was a De Gea for Man U got hurt one year on a play where they let it continue. It ended up being offsides that they let go, and then he got hurt, and it was our starting keeper. Um, to me, you know, I my biggest thing is if you're gonna, I think what I would love to see most if we're gonna keep VAR system in play, and we've kind of discussed this before, is I would love to see a rule change of a shot clock. You get a minute, and if you're not convinced in that minute, and if they can't prove it within that minute in the VAR booth, when you have three people on four different TVs, coming up with all this stuff, it's not clear and obvious. Then keep the game
Yeah, I
moving.
agree.
Like
I agree.
I think I think I forget if it was you or if it was Dave talked about. I think it was earlier this year. You can convince yourself almost of
Oh
anything
yeah.
if you're looking at it
Well,
long enough.
think about every play, every big play that happens in the NFL. You could probably go back and look at holding somewhere, right? There's probably a hold,
Or
and it's
convince yourself.
or convince right exactly if you stare at it long enough. To your point, so yeah, that's for sure. And even if you're a neutral party there, right? Like if you know what you're looking for and you're really looking for it, you can be nitpicky, and that's where you see a toe or a hand, right? Kind
Right.
of just happen to get across that line on that VAR line technology. So, I mean, it's good to have. I don't think I do. I think that it's probably one of the hardest things for the human eye is to see in real time, especially again when you've got somebody that's a lot of times running with the play,
Yeah.
as the guy on the line would do, the line judge, the lineman would do, and to have your eyes bouncing up and down and not really be oriented to that specific spot on the field, and then to see it played. And again, when you've got something just so minuscule at times, it's really hard. I would prefer, and I don't know if this ever gets discussed, but I would prefer it be like a certain amount of your body or the entire body or whatever
And that's what
instead
they're
of a foot,
disgusting.
right? Like if
That
you're
yeah.
all the way offside, then I think that is one thing. But if you're getting to the point where you're so nitpicky that it's a toe, or a pinky or a nose or whatever body part, we'll stop there, gets offside in that situation, right? like that to me is a little bit too far. I think, if you have an entire leg or if you have half a body, or again, in this case, maybe it's just the entire body, that makes it so much easier and it's so much more clear and obvious and would probably allow for a more free flowing game.
No, yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's what they're trying to work on with this new offsides rule. I forget if it's in testing now or not. I think they're trying to get it done before the World Cup because I think that's where they really want to have it done by. But it's basically saying what you just said. It's more majority of the ball to where if you're watching it on TV, I think they're trying to get it to where you're not having to like stand near the TV to see if those lines are crossed at all. Because there's some times where it's like I can't even tell.
Oh
I
yeah.
do. I almost like the idea of somebody. What I think they should start doing is they should throw like a casual fan that understands the rules, like yourself. Just throw them up in the VAR booth. Have you look at the screen and be like, "Can you tell if there's a foul up there?" And if you're like, "I don't see anything," keep it going because it's not clear and obvious. Like keep it.
Yeah, I
I
like
just
that.
don't. I don't like the whole, because there's times, when I'm watching the games and I'm like, that's not offside or that's not a foul, and then you look back and you're like, I get if
Yeah, I
you
could
know
see
what
it.
they're looking for, you're
Right.
kind of like, I guess I could see, and then it becomes a just where you know which side or what did you call? Is that enough? Then it's just too much of a debate, and the game loses all momentum, especially if there's a goal involved and it's allowed. 2 minutes of waiting around waiting for it, and then they announce it's good. You just feel this like, yay, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
killed all momentum of that excitement.
Yeah, you know what else kills momentum, Eric, is flopping, and we saw a little bit of that in this game. Ocampo, right? Ocampo for Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like he got shot a
I'll
couple
say,
of
can we
times.
clarify? Can we even classify that as flopping? I mean, that
Dude,
was
I don't know what it was, but there was a lot to it, and I think we have to unpack it a little bit because it really made social headlines anyway locally. I saw some people comparing him to Raygun, the Australian breakdancer. Found
he probably
themselves
put
in
a
a
better performance in than
might
Reagan did
have,
in the
might have,
Olympics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what nationality Ocampo is, but perhaps they could get into the 2020. What would that be? Or 2028, I guess it would be.
Yeah. Eight.
Olympics if they have breakdancing again. I
I think
can't
they, yeah,
see
I
it
think they
coming
can't.
back.
I think they can't. I think they announced they canceled it
Yeah,
already because it was just such a
might
flop.
be a good call. But
Yeah.
it was interesting, and he did it a couple of times. The one was obviously the worst, but I think there were two or three times where I saw it, and I'm like, my goodness, man! It's like there was the one incident we're talking about where it looked like he got kicked in the stomach. That was like the one that he reacted to the worst. But there was another where it looked like he might have gotten his toe stepped on.
Yeah. It was.
And then they go back and look at the replay, and then it really didn't look like you guys so stepped on like too much.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know. That was kind of hard to watch. It did kill the momentum of it, and to me, like if I look at that, I just think it makes the guy look kind of weak
Terrible.
and bad. And it's
So
like, dude, how can you classify yourself as an athlete? And I don't know. And I know there's like a macho element to athletics in general, but that completely removes any of that. And my wife, who played soccer, and then Brittany, who we sit there, who sits in the third row, who also played soccer, and they played with each other and against each other in high school and college a bit as well. Both of them will tell you ad nauseum that women's soccer is not like that. They don't do that in women's soccer. But it is prevalent in the men's game, and you're seeing more and more of it. And that was one of the worst I think I've seen.
yeah, the most frustrating part is like as players, we hate it. Like it's something that I hate in the game as well. I don't understand it. Couple things that I have to say is you and I are pretty injury prone.
Oh
We've
yeah,
been injured quite a
oh yeah,
bit,
yeah.
both of us. Every time I've ever been injured, my first thought has never been I'm going to flop around and you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm sitting as still as I
Yeah, of
possibly
course.
can, like so right away the other thing that I have is at some point I think as the ref is you have to card that. You have to like that's just the mockery of the game. Like it's just the the three rolls like over and over and over again. Like I understand, you give Wallem the card and even Wallem afterwards, he kind of looked at the ref like, yeah, that's fine, but like do something about
Right.
that. But then a repeat offender, like you card that because then you're almost mocking me as the ref, like saying like this was that
That's a good
bad.
point.
And now you're fishing for a call. They should be they do card, if it's in the box and they determine it was a dive and trying to fish for a penalty like that to me, if you want to get it out of the game, which I don't think anybody wants it in the
Nobody
game.
wants it.
Start throwing cards their way. Like start like letting them know like this is enough. This is just ridiculous. Because again, to your point, my point, like if you're ever hurt, you're not doing that.
Right.
Like nothing will ever cause you to other than being shot.
You're
And
right. And I
the
don't
other
think Wallem brought a gun to the
no, not to
stadium that
my.
day. Yeah.
They're usually pretty good about checking that at
Right.
the gate. But the last thing is, whatever happened to the rule of if they're down for longer than 15 seconds,
I know.
they need to be off the field and down. Whatever happened to that?
I don't
He gets
know.
up,
They don't
he's got a
enforce it.
smile on his face, and he goes running down the line, and it's just like you gotta like that's fine. You can do that. But you have to understand that a consequence comes with that, and you're gonna sit off the field and your team's gonna be down for a minute or two. Like,
Yeah.
whatever happened to enforcing that whole stuff? Like, that's the prime example of what they're trying to eliminate. Like, get that out of here. And then obviously he became the boo bird at the
Oh,
stadium, and
I guarantee it.
it was great hearing it. And but just to see him, you know, if I'm a ref and I see him do that and then I see him get up with a smile on his face, the other thing too is like he needs to start realizing is that reputation's going to come with him now
Yep.
as just a dramatic flopper. And if I'm seeing, in the future, if I'm refing him again and I see a high boot or a stud near the foot and he does all that, I'm thinking, hey, I remember last time. And I went back and rewatched that replay. You didn't get clipped. So I'm not, you can roll all you want. We're keeping the game going. You're going to lose any,
Can credibility? Yeah.
credibility. Yes.
Can they legally card for that?
No, there's nothing in there now, like other than like diving for a penalty.
Right.
I think it has to be contained within the box. I'm pretty sure, or at least you don't see them very many times outside of the box because, obviously where you're really going to emphasize it the most is going to be trying to draw a penalty. But I think if you're willing to do it there, I mean, say that was Wallem's, you know, say they, who knows with the way VAR is anymore. They could have looked at that reaction,
Oh
saw
yeah.
boots high, and that yellow could have changed real quick. I mean,
Yeah. They should figure out a
I
way to enforce it. It would make the game better. I think that it would immediately take the casual American soccer fan that
yes,
is a little apprehensive about following it closely. And if you ask any casual American, if you ask any American hardcore American sports fan, right? Like, are they soccer fans? And if they aren't soccer fans, the first thing they will say is what happened that night. That's why. That's what they will
number
tell you.
one the
That's
number
their
one
complaint.
thing I got all throughout high school, college, now if you say you play soccer, it's just always you guys, what's up with that flopping stuff?
Yeah.
And it's just like I know I'm with you. I don't like it either.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. But I do agree there has to start being something that discourages that type of stuff, whether it's cards,
Yeah.
even if you give them a verbal, go to the captain right away and be like, look, that was crazy.
Right.
Any of these other guys do that again, you're getting carded. Like
Yeah.
I'm not giving you the calls. You have to start communicating with the teams that letting them know, like, hey, I'm not gonna put up with this type of stuff throughout the
Yeah.
night. So
Well, regardless, 0-0 draw at City Park on Saturday. City stays in 12th place. 2 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses, a total of 9 points. Eric, final thoughts on the game performance-wise for City? And then, of course, whether or not you were content with coming out of there, albeit a 0-0 draw, a point nonetheless.
that's a tough word to think of is like content because we highlighted if we get a point off of Columbus or Vancouver, we're feeling pretty
Of
good
course.
about that. It always sucks when you get done with those games after you've said that and you sit there and you think like, man, there was something else out there. Now, it was a pretty back and forth game. There were things that I was excited to see. Number one, kind of a little bit of a higher press and getting back to that, like, forward play style, not the full blown press, but we caused a lot of, and we highlighted this in a previous show. We caused a lot of turnovers and disruptions by pressing their defense. Celio did it quite a bit. I think Klaus picked up a few. So it was just excited to at least see we were not shelled back, but pushing a little bit more forward. I still think offensively, man, in that final third, um, it's too slow. There was a few times where if the Toy hits it first time, I think Hartle had a few where like if they hit that first time and not try and get it out of the feet, get it out again, and then put it on, or even crosses. Like there were a few times where slotted balls, if you hit that first time, rather than taking a touch and getting it out a little bit farther, that play is more open, and you have a higher xG chance if you want going from that. But we're still just a little slow and hesitant in the final third to where I think teams are going to see that and think like if we can just get behind the ball, they'll lose all passing lanes. I also think we need to get a little bit better as far as passing in tight spaces. I think we've shown, times where it's worked good, but I still think that's a kind of a big weakness for us. Um, I still would like to see Olaf just go for it for once, rather than feeling, that content being at a 0-0 and thinking you're getting a point. I just wonder at what point does he feel I have to go for it? I have to start playing a little bit more forward and attacking and exciting football, rather than this kind of like just safe style. I thought Watts had a good game. We've been pretty critical on him, and I thought he bounced back and really did well with the wings. I still feel like that would have been a great game for Tots to be in there because I just felt like offensively down the right hand side, Toycher was just not getting anything supplied into him, and then you get that sub from him. Really excited to see Joyner. Hope
Yeah,
he
that was great to see. Was he 19 years old? 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, I think we looked it up that night that he was born in 2006.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's one. So he's a baby, right? Like that's unbelievable.
100%. And there were a few moments where, man, I wish the senior players would have gave it to him a little bit more. I thought he looked really dangerous, and times he had it, and there were a few times where I really wish they would have gave it to him a few more times out on the wing. So I really hope, and I see it coming here soon. Just one of those like Venzel or Jay Reed contracts from last year where it's like a year with the option for 2 or 3 added on. I think he deserves that first team contract. We know it's coming anyway. Now, with that being said, don't just throw him into the Lions Den and start starting him, even though he's exciting. You still got to let him develop and stuff, but excited to see more minutes from Joyner. And so some positives, some negatives. You're happy with the point. Now you got to go to a tough LAFC out west and hopefully continue to keep playing up a level and not down to the competition.
That game will take place at 6 p.m. Central Time on Sunday in Los Angeles. I'm assuming that will be a part of the Sunday Night Soccer on Apple TV. It'd be like City's third time being on it this season already. LAFC sits in 7th place currently in the West with 13 points total. We will break that game down coming up on our Thursday episode of the Match Week Preview. Brought to you by STL Kolache. That will take place again on Thursday when that will drop, so we'll spend time on that then. For now, Eric, it is time to talk about the best place in St. Louis to get swole.
Right, and that place, of course, everybody knows, is Ready to Live Wellness. Been going there, and it's been so great with the cooler weather coming. Garage doors have been up. It's been such a great place to go. Get rid of some stress, get a great workout in, and just feel great. I've been really enjoying it there. The coaching, you're not going to beat it, but like I highlighted last week, the community, everybody there is just pushing you, encouraging you. And again, you're doing it in a safe environment, so you're getting the best results. And they'll know you'll get familiar with the coaches and the personal trainers there. So everything is targeted towards your goals and everything that you're looking to accomplish. And then, of course, it's a one-stop shop. You just head right upstairs. You see their body movement specialists, their PTs. Anything that's bothering you, they'll take a look at and keep you feeling great. It's all on one roof. It's the best place to go. It's Ready to Live Wellness.
That's our title sponsor, Ready to Live Wellness at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. If you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. Now, Eric, what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit, if it's okay, just a little bit about our studio sponsor and the official swag sponsor of South End Supporters. That, of course, is Warrior Logo Wear. I gotta tell you this. I told you last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was. They brought out, or not, they didn't bring them out, but they got the jerseys completed in time for my slow pitch softball team. We play in Muscuda, and they were able to get the jerseys done, and they were backed up. Corey League orders, Select Sports orders, all these orders they had to get out the door, but they made a commitment, and we got the jerseys on time. They looked amazing for opening day. Didn't go that well for us. We lost in extra innings, but played okay. I was 1 for 4, grounded into a double play. I think I talked about this on the last episode. Not my strongest performance, but first game out in quite some time. But I looked good doing it because of Warrior Logo Wear. Now, there's an inside joke, so to speak, that's developed in Muscuda lately that Warrior Logo Wear has now piggybacked on a little bit. There's an old Dollar General building. Dollar General moved across the street on Route 4. And so this building currently sits unattended. And somebody a couple of months ago put a sign. They had a custom-made sign. And I don't know if these guys were behind it. They might have been. I'm not sure. Now that I think about it, like screen printing, this seems like in their wheelhouse. But somebody put a sign out in front of it that said the Slippery Snapper Gentlemen's Club. And the idea was that it was part gentleman's club, part bait shop. That was that was the idea.
As every great business should be.
100%, right? Like, what town doesn't need one of those? There's a lot of people that fish here, and people were like losing their minds on the Facebook page and the community. And I'm like, dude, there's no way a strip club is coming to Muscuda, Illinois. I promise you that. Secondly, it's not going on Route 4, where it's like the highest traffic area in town. I don't think people are going to just casually park their vehicles out here in a very small town that communicates a lot, right? They are now officially selling Slippery Snapper T-shirts. You can get those custom made in a beautiful purple color. And I think I don't know the two logos on it. One of them is a fish or like some tackle or a rod and reel or whatever it may be. I'm not sure what the other logo is. I'd have to look at it a little bit more closely, but you can let the imagination decide there. But those shirts are selling, and I think you're going to start seeing people walking around with this. But that's the kind of stuff you're going to get at Warrior Logo Wear, 12 East Main Street in Muscuda, Illinois, the place to go meet all your needs. Individual and team sportswear, from T-shirts, hats, hoodies, team sports uniforms, and of course promotional swag. Really fast turnaround times. I mentioned the softball situation for us. We needed those done quickly. They can get it done quick, and they don't sacrifice quality on any of it as well, meeting those tight deadlines with ease. It is 100% veteran owned, which is important everywhere, but super important to this community, as we've got the Air Force Base there, Scott Air Force Base, that sits here closely. And of course, everything they do, all the prints, they last. They're super high quality, vibrant, durable, even after many washes. With Warrior Logo Wear, going to bring your brand to life online. It's been never this easy to do before. Make sure to launch your custom web store with them. Let them handle everything from setup to shipping. Your custom web store includes anything you need to get things set up. And Eric, as we talk about every week, there are no hidden fees at Warrior Logo Wear. What you see is what you get. Check them out on Instagram at Warrior Logo Wear, at Warrior Logo Wear on Twitter, or at warriorlogowear.com. And I think I might have just set the record in 1 minute time saying Warrior Logo Wear. I'm not sure it's been said that many times in that stretch, but they deserve it. Great sponsor of ours, sponsor the studio here, and of course the official swag sponsor for all the South End Supporters merch.
Now, that's definitely a tongue twister going your way there, but boy, I was sitting while you were reading that, I was just thinking, boy, what a great alibi. Like, did I see you going into that gentleman's club? Nah, I was just picking up a new spinnerbait.
Picking up spinnerbait. That's it, right? Because there's not like an actual bait shop in town, And oh, by the way, another story. My kids just started fishing. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cameron is hooked, pun intended, right?
Pun intended.
Hooked, Eric. This kid can't get enough. Can't get enough fishing. And he goes with his friends. One of his friends have a pond on their property, and he fishes there. He fishes at a local pond in our neighborhood, and he wants to fish all the time. That's all he talks about. Doesn't have a rod and reel, right? And so we get him one, and then we took him to Bass Pro Shop, and he was like a kid in a candy store at this place.
Oh yeah, I
Went to
bet.
Bass Pro out at Sunset Hills. Would have gone and got kolaches. They were closed. It was a little bit too late when we were out there, unfortunately. But go out there, and it's like a decent sized Bass Pro. It's not like the biggest Bass Pro, but
Yeah.
I mean they're all big, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
dude, he was just, I mean, just enamored by this place and wanted everything. And he's taking us down the bait aisle, and he's like telling me this is what this is for and this is what that's for. So we end up getting him another pole. So now there's two poles, and then a third one just got delivered today. He's got three poles now. Him and Scarlett went out fishing yesterday. Sarah and I both got fishing licenses, which were $5, and it was really easy to get online. But I don't know anything about fishing at all. I fished like a couple of times ever. I went deep sea fishing in Fort Myers when I lived
Oh yeah,
there,
that's right.
and they did it all for you. Like you just have to throw. I think they even baited the hook for me, right? Like it was really easy. Just throw the thing in, and then fish bite. It's a great experience. A lot of fun. They cook them for you, clean them for you, and all that. You get to eat afterwards. It's awesome. But he, while he loves to fish, doesn't quite understand how to like string the line through the pole. And I'm not even sure, Eric, if I'm saying that correctly because I don't know
No, you're
like
good.
the lingo when it comes to
Mhm.
fishing. So now I'm trying to do this. Now, you know me pretty well. I'm not good at those types of things. So
Mhm.
I'm out there, we're on the bank, we're at the reservoir in Mascuda fishing, and like I'm trying to get this pole set up. And the first pole that he had was a spinner reel, I guess it's
Mhm.
called.
Mhm.
That is very difficult. That thing keeps like the line keeps slipping off. I don't think I got it hooked up correctly. So then like we like spent so much time putting this thing back together out there. And that was a big portion of my weekend, Eric. So if you, I know you do like to fish, ever care to get out there and help him, it would help me out a lot because I suck at putting this thing together and actually teaching him how to do it because I don't know myself.
Yeah, I'd love to take him. Yeah, tell him Uncle Eric will take him down to the Carlisle Spillway, and we'll catch some carp bigger than he is down there.
That
Yank him
sounds
into the water.
nice.
He'll enjoy that. But imagine if he thinks that Bass Pro's impressive. Imagine if we took him to the one in Memphis, that
Oh my
pyramid
God, the
sucker.
pyramid. Yeah.
That thing,
Have you been in
that
there?
thing would be. Yeah, we went together. Remember
Oh, did we? I can't. I've been in there a couple of
when we
times. I
went
did
to
it
when we
like
went to when we went to
the
the
Grizzlies
Grizzlies
game.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Right before we head out,
That's
we
right.
stopped
That's
in there.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've been in there a couple
But
of times.
yeah,
It is enormous.
the whole time you were describing it, and you were like, "Yeah," and I took him, and I was like, "I cannot picture
No,
David
but you know what?
fishing."
I think once I figure it out, I think I'm gonna like it. Like I think
Oh,
I
I could
like the
see
idea of
you.
it.
Yeah, I could see you getting away because
Yeah,
that's the thing about fishing is like it's just no nothing. You're just out there. Like, yeah, it can be frustrating if you don't catch anything, but sometimes, man, just being out on a nice calm night, catching whatever you're going for, that's relaxing, especially here in the Bay, go across the water. Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was nice.
I'm surprised. I mean, it definitely fits Cameron. I could fully see him
Man,
getting
he's
into
into it.
some
He's into
fishing and
Scarlett's kind of into it. She was doing it too. She wanted to keep going. She did it a little bit yesterday as well. Well,
well,
if
those.
and when the time comes, perhaps we'll have the slippery snapper to grab some bait, and maybe they can sponsor
There we
part of the
go.
show.
Hey, that would be great. Yeah, I could see Scarlett getting into it just because how competitive those two are.
Yeah.
The I caught more. Well, mine was bigger. Conversation's going to be going on quite a bit in your house, and yeah, we'll uh
Well, they
we'll keep
neither one
we'll
of them
keep an
have
eye
caught
out for
anything
that
yet.
slippery snapper.
Slippery snapper, yeah. Neither one of them have caught anything yet. Cameron, I guess, has caught a couple with his friends, or at least he says he has. And it's
Ah, the
funny
fishing
because
tails are coming out.
yeah, and the size of the fish keeps getting a
Yeah,
little bit
oh yeah.
bigger. If you ask him, he caught a 19 pounder the other day, and I heard it was about four. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the way it goes. Well, we move on from fishing talk, as this is not a fishing podcast yet, but you never know the direction this
You
thing could
never
go
know with this one, yeah.
to Elite News and Notes, brought to you by Elite FT at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, right inside the Sports Academy.
That's right. If you got some kids who are looking to get into the best training in the area, you got to go check out Elite FT. They're one-on-one group sessions. They have it all, and they're so patient, but very skilled and very great with explaining it to whether it's a young kid, what is it, the dinos, or you
Yeah,
got a kid in high school that is just looking to improve their skills. They have it all ranges, and they're passionate about it. You see the coaches out there. My brother's one of them, and I enjoy talking to him about the stories that he has, because you just see the passion come out. And it's the same way for all the coaches. They're great, they're patient. It's a great place. It's the best place to get your kids extra training. It's Elite FT, so make sure you check them out at eliteft.com and Elite FT on all their socials. Just a couple elite news for tonight. The first one that came out was City SC is going to be playing Union Omaha in the first game for the U.S. Open Cup. Kind of a familiar foe, as it
Yeah,
was. So what is that? 2 years now?
2 year.
3 years
It was the
now?
first. It was the first year. Yeah,
And that was actually your kid's first game, right?
it was.
Checking that
I
out.
think it was a 5-0 win. I
It was a
believe.
it was a it was a
With
yeah it was
the
a
Fighting Owls didn't bring it that night. The supporter section was like relatively full, if I remember correctly. They
oh
brought some
really?
people with them. Yeah,
Well, that's I love that, man. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that game's going to take place Wednesday, May 7th. So they originally announced it'd either be May 6th, that Tuesday, or May 7th. And I said I could go Tuesday, but not Wednesday. So they said, you know what? We'll make it Wednesday.
Wednesday
So
it is.
I don't know if they've announced the time as of yet, but that'll be the first game of the Open Cup. So again, if you're maybe looking to see some faces that we haven't seen yet, that you're excited and are hoping to get more playing time, you feel like those will be the games that'll happen. And I would hope that I think tickets are a little higher than we were hoping for, but either way, it's going to be a good chance for you to get out and see them take on the first round and hopefully get back into form, or hopefully they're in form and they're carrying it on. Um, Next news that I have is Energizer Park was awarded the gold standard for they were the first St. Louis sporting venue to be the LEED Gold certified, LEED Gold certified as part of the Goal Zero sustainability efforts. So we know, I'm drinking out of one right now. They're all about, uh, no waste or anything like that
Sustainability.
throughout the
Yeah.
stadiums. They have that tumbler that they sell every year, so you can just refillable throughout the stadium. You see trash, recycle, compost all throughout the stadium, so there's no reason for any trash being. And I got to be honest, like even walking around doing loops every time, I can't really ever think of a time that I see like, oh man, there's a bunch of trash down on the floor or anything like that. I know post game, but that's more fans than I would say, concourse or anything like that. So they really do keep up and do a great job as far as, zero sustain or zero waste and all that type of stuff. So
Fun
I
fact
think
on
you were
this.
explaining it to me that that's like actually a really high, award to be given.
Yeah, so LEED is leadership in energy and environmental design. So really big in the architecture, energy construction space, the AECs out there. Gold standard. I didn't realize what gold was, but it's like the second highest tier behind platinum. And just to put it in perspective, the Empire State Building, the U.S. Treasury Building, Yale University, Adobe's headquarters in San Jose, Levi's Stadium, where the 49ers play, Spotify, their New York City's office. Those are some of those gold LEED buildings. So City Park in rarefied air there in terms of taking care of the environment. It's a great venue and continues to improve upon itself.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, it's just awesome. Even on listening to the announcers that are kind of coming to City Park for the first week when they're calling the games and just bragging about how amazing of a venue it is, or you're seeing awards always captured out throughout it. So I don't know, maybe we take it for granted just because it's our home and we see it all the time. But anytime you do travel to other places, one of the first things you'll see people on the socials or whatever is, this place is a dump compared to City Park. So
Yeah, yeah.
super cool just to get awards to kind of verify that opinion. And then the last one I have is more opportunities, more goodwill. City are proud to partner with MERS, Missouri Goodwill Industries, to support the mission of changing lives through the power of work in STL region. So it sounds like City are partnering up with Goodwill in the region. I passed that Goodwill building. I don't know if that's the one they're talking about, but it's a huge, massive Goodwill building right off of 64. And obviously, Goodwill is just all throughout the St. Louis area. So it's just another cool sponsorship or partnership that City is welcoming in. We talk about it all the time, just loving like good local places that you're seeing connected with City. So just another great one to the addition.
We'll see if anybody wants the new jerseys if they're secondhand at Goodwill. It may be a little bit cheaper. I still don't know if they'll sell, Eric. I'm not for sure.
I yeah, you know what kind of watching back footage today, you know what we do have coming up is the battle of the half collars. I know
There's another
LAFC,
team. LAFC has it too.
that away one. They're the only other one.
Ah,
Us and them are the only other ones who have that half collar. So, maybe they've been waiting for this, and whoever wins the series gets a full collar next year, and the
maybe
other one
that's
has
what
to
it
stick.
is. That's what
The
it
other one
is.
has to.
You
The
got to
other
earn
one
it.
loses. The other one loses even more of the
Yeah,
collar.
it'd
It
be a
goes down to
quarter
just a
collar.
quarter
Yeah,
collar. Looks
quarter
like a
collar.
bow tie almost. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's nice actually. You got to earn your right to have a full collar in this league.
Earn your right to a full collar. That'd be great.
That's unbelievable. Well, no, that'll be good. That's great too to have partnerships locally like this, and Goodwill does a lot of good things for the community. All jokes aside about where I think that jersey belongs, but no, it is a great partnership, and continue to just grow interest. I think amongst the area. I think they do a really good job getting involved in the community. One of the best things, I think, not to take a lot away from that particular story, but those pitches that they put up in some of the areas, a lot of them seem to be lower income areas as well, folks to get an opportunity to learn the game, and just get out there and play it, which is a lot of fun. So it's great to see, and hopefully we see more of that stuff pop up and more local partnerships that way too.
Yeah, 100%. I did actually forget one, and we actually didn't cover this at the beginning of the episode. And maybe it's just because it just seems to be a reoccurring thing, and we kind of blocked it out. But I guess kind of the big news as well. I can kind of just put it past that we didn't lead with this, but per Olaf, Henry Kessler suffered a grade 2 hamstring injury and is expected to miss the next month or so. We got this news similar to the Berkey news, where it was like right after the starting 11, almost like City tried to kind of bury this. And it just said Henry Kessler was injured in training on Friday. They didn't give any details or anything like that pregame. My question is, what are we doing on Fridays? What are we doing on Fridays? Why is there any reason for him to pick up a grade 2 hamstring injury? Why is there any reason for Berkey to pick up a broken hand? Like, why is Friday not anything more than a simple video session, maybe a little walkthrough? Like, why does it seem like Fridays, and last year it felt like too, where there was a couple injuries in training and it seemed like it's Friday. It's like, at what point do we start just backing it down on
Yeah,
Fridays? Like,
they,
what
they
are we
get
doing?
they got injury problems. I don't know if this is like this league wide, but City seems to get hurt a lot. And you're right, a
Yeah.
lot of them seem to happen on Fridays. And I would tend to agree. Let's just kind of wind down a little bit before the Saturday game.
Yeah, please just I hope from here on out it's, you know, maybe a masseuse, you get a little
Yeah,
body work
yeah.
done. If all the masseuse tables are and body work's taken, you just send them on over to Ready Live Wellness and get
Sounds
them
like they need
taken
to
care
hire a
of there.
trainer. Oh, you need to hire a trainer from Ready to Live Wellness.
Yeah, maybe they need to. Fridays. I tell you what, each Friday from here on out, one player on the team gets to pick a movie. They watch that
Yeah, I
movie,
like
and
that.
then
Starting with the
yeah,
big green. Let's start with the big green first,
yeah,
Eric.
that's exactly right. Let's get it turned around.
That'll be nice. Well, that was the lead FT news and notes from the Back Post 101, The Game Drive, Glen Carbon, Illinois, located inside the Sports Academy. They bring you those news and notes, the elite news and notes. I forgot to say, Eric, every single week here on South End Supporters. Eric, where can people follow us?
Follow us on all our socials on Instagram or South End Supporters. Our Twitter and our Reddit is capital SES_podcast STL. Make sure you're following us on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. That way you keep up with all things South End Supporters.
I want to say thanks, as always, to all of our sponsors here on South End Supporters, especially our title sponsor, Ready to Live Wellness at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Our studio sponsor and the official swag sponsor of South End Supporters is Warrior Logo Wear. They are located at 12 East Main Street in Muscuda, Illinois. Also coming up next episode here on Thursday, we'll have the match week preview coming at you from St. Louis Kalachi, so STL Kalachi, 1530 South Kirkwood Road in Sunset Hills. And on the back end of that episode, my favorite segment, your favorite segment, Eric, I call it the People segment. That is the Felix's Pizza Pub South End Submissions. It is located at 6401 Clayton Avenue in Dogtown. And lastly, our newest sponsor, been with us now for a couple of weeks, super excited for the partnership, is Elite FT at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, inside the Sports Academy. For Eric Cole, for the Monday Morning center back, Dave Wyckoff, who is not with us this week. We miss him dearly. My name is David Heck. Thanks so much for listening. You have been listening to South End Supporters. We'll see you next week. And until then, let's go City.